healed and well. They want to keep you needy,
They
and
want to keep the
that's
people
for the greedy.
right. This is the deal. When you look at the Moorish Divine National Movement, the nature of the Moorish Divine National Movement is the liberation of humanity. Now, this is the point. What if you pay attention to some of the processes that are used by some, particularly some of the people who are angry that this information is being shared. If you notice that most of the time you've never seen them actually come out and aid anyone.
No, but they want to know why you haven't, like, because you're God. You're supposed to do everything.
No, because that's not the point. Because the exercise of rights belong to the people. Doesn't belong. See the cons, and this is even back to the misconception that have made our people in this dependency mentality, where they're looking for leaders, and this is not the age of leaders. This is the age of liberation of humanity. This is the age where every man, woman, and child must confess their own. And while people will say that, they have been trained to the contrary. They're, even in psychology, they're looking for a sacrificial lamb and then getting mad when you don't present a sacrificial lamb for them.
Yes.
Because they don't want the responsibility of taking their proper places among the affairs of men.
Yeah. We have a lot of questions that have asked if they could get your book, and they want to know how they can get the book that you're reading out, that you wrote. And I know we keep saying that we're really working on getting some reprints so that we can make them available directly.
All the Adeptus manuscript notes, because most of the ones that we have published were heavily edited deliberately for editorial purposes, for publishing purposes, etc. Because I would not take payoff and let the mainstream publishers publish it with the demands of editing certain information out. So most of the stuff we had desktop published for years. However, because of the printing equipment, limited printing equipment, a lot of the
binding,
mainly the binding, and so we kept most of the points of the vital points of information in. But what I want to do, and I've been working in between to put all my old notes and going into the old Macs and going to my old notes, even some of the machinery that the old, as y'all remember, floppy drives and stuff like that, and even going through some of the stuff that was damaged in the fire in 205, etc. And actually, my sister's old Mac with the floppy disk to retrieve some of my notes. Although some of the notes were burned, there was enough to actually retrieve a lot of the original stuff. And we're going to have the Sister
Cynthia Martinell.
Yeah, so many of you know the Honorable Sister Martinell. Yeah, Cindy, we call Cindy. That's that beautiful sister in Texas area. She's going to be publishing much of this stuff. We'll make it available to you. But I have to also say to you all, and many of you know, that I work, and my time is so limited, so constricted. However, we'll be making it available through the House of Reawakening Minds to you, and trust within this year. Though some of it we have actually done over. I haven't presented to Sister Cindy yet, but I will. I'll particularly with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
But the ones you've used that they're asked.
But know this too. Don't be surprised at the heavy opposition that you'll be getting, because really, a lot of people are really upset that the people at large, and this goes for hybrids and Asiatics are angry because the people are waking up, because most of the political platforms that have been operative on the earth, um, particularly in contemporary times, are all pretty much all of them are based, except for a few, are based in frauds. All of them. And logically, as people wake up, a lot of institutions will and are collapsing because they need you to be ignorant. They need you to be dependent. They need you to be subservient. They need you to be dumbed down. And this is why they're very hostile when information comes out, because you also discover, as you become more erudite in the operations of government, this is also why they don't teach civics, because you'll recognize more people are that you've been encountering in the name of your economics and politics. More people are your enemy than you'll ever imagine, and many people that you've trusted have never been your friend. You're going to discover you have a lot of associates and very few friends. However, I suggest that you be strong, be firm, seek out principle, and one of the things that a lot of people are set as people become awake, they start becoming more independent. And as you already know, Dr. Naila, as people have come to our classes, even as we've been working over the House of Reawakening Minds for the last 11 years, that we've encouraged people to take this information and start their own study groups, and they have done so. And have helped themselves, their families, and other people. We don't want dependent or dumb, subservient people. We want people who are capable of creating, of taking this information further, and particularly, but majorly, this is the major issue with me, is for them to recognize that most of the institutions that they've been looking for a remedy are actually their enemy. And logically, it upsets a lot of people because many of our people work for them. As an example, many people who have been sucking or conning our people out of thousands of notes, who actually work for law firms, which are really members of the Roman Curia. And you'll see most of them will present issues of law from the rules of civil procedure, which are used actually by the Bar Association to have been stealing the people's rights. This is why the people don't have due process. This is why people don't have speedy trials. This is why they will try our people by foreign hybrid Europeans when they're supposed to be having trials by people of their own peers. This is why they ignore Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, which enforces the treaties, and diversity is always supposed to be maintained and enforced, and you don't see any of these people who are talking about our people's rights and liberties ever talking about consular venue. As a matter of fact, you'll see more of them talking against it than for it. But when you read the Constitution and the treaties yourself, you'll see the obligations that I've just read from here. And it's no secret. Well, why do you think they get offended when I bring these things up? Because it exposes them. I'm not personally against them. They can do what they want to do. They're doing what their masks are being pulled off, and they think that I'm attacking them personally. I'm not. The information is attacking them because they're frauds, and it is that. The deal with it is they've created this idea that people have to pay for their rights, and people are so used to their rights having been converted into privileges by the occupational de facto persons claiming to be government and people who have been working for them and helping them exercise fraud against the people while pretending to be for the people and pretending to teach law. The real deal is that they stay away from the common law because they don't want the people to know that common law is nature's law and nature's God. So when you talk about Allah, or universal law, you're talking about nature's God, or what you call hermetic principles, etc. This is in nature. And this is again on how cleverly and deceptively they've misrepresented, Islam, and all the religions to the people, and giving them a negative face, etc. By turning the people away from actually the forces and the forces of nature, the truth of nature and creation itself, from which these principles actually are derived. That's why they don't teach common law. And so, for those of you who really study jurisprudence, you know that common law and constitutional law are looked at as synonymous, and not just what you would call the individual constitution document that you've been told is the Constitution of the United States, for the principles exist before that document, as you've been shown even existed. It's ancient.
Here's a question, and I'm sure this person legitimately does not know, and there may be others that don't know. Somebody finds out they're not Negro, black, and colored, and then they start hearing, about this, Noble Drew Ali. There's a question that says, "Who was Noble Drew Ali?" And
yes, Noble Drew
for
Ali,
those who don't know,
yes, Noble Drew Ali was one among us, among Anyanwea. Anyanwea you would call Cherokee. And you know that the Naga and the Dravidians or Phoenicians of the West, or the Maghreb, have been mistagged in history to color the history. So we're often referred to as Indians, or Indians of the West, or West Indians, etc., which is a really a false connotation, because the people of the true Americans or Al-Moroccans are really Phoenicians, etc., or Africans. And this is why you'll see them misrepresent the central Al-Morocc, or what you call Old Mexum. They'll call it Olmec, and they will always try to bury the history so that the people don't know or have a misconception that you're standing on Africa. And ancient Omexum is the ancient name for Africa, and Africa is the ancient name or the modern name for America, and America is the contemporary name for Africa and Omexum. It's not a secret with scholars; it has been kept from the people.
the Noble Drew Ali.
Oh yeah, Noble Drew Ali. Now, among the many people who know the history, whenever someone would speak of the real history of the people here, they would be murdered or persecuted under Dum Diversis, and the
What's Dum Diversis?
Dum Diversis is a Roman Catholic Church bulla under the Spanish Inquisition against the Moors.
And what's a bulla?
A bulla is like an edict coming from the bishopric led by the Pope of Rome.
Would it be like an executive order?
Yes.
All right.
All right. And so you would particularly look at many of the bullas that come about, particularly after the Napoleonic Wars, particularly after they captured Roma, or the African popes, the ancient African popes, and took over and corrupted the ancient African history and culture. They were really usually presented as African or Egyptian, Babylonian culture, and they will take the dark side magic, or they take everything that is represented of African Asiatic culture and call it demonic and twist it.
So you were saying that up to a certain point, though, people weren't able to tell the truth, but then
Noble Drew Ali was one in the what you would call modern era, one of the first presenters for the Aboriginal people of America to come in what is known as proper person. In your proper person, not under the brands, not under the nom de guerre, such as Negro, Black, or Colored Indian, but being the true blood American, Al-Moroccan, and present the argument for the enforcement of all the pre-existing treaties and the Constitution, for protecting the estates and the rights and the properties and the natural being or persons of the sentient men and women, Moorish Americans, distinguished people of the land from the Inquisition operations or the abuses, etc. And he established the old Canaanite temple officially in 1913 to reinstall or reactivate knowledge, history, culture, spirituality, and a social political platform for the restoration of the lost estate of the Moors of North America.
Now he was a young man. So where
Now,
would he
27 years old.
where did he get such knowledge? How did he know that this existed, that these things
This
had
was,
been
yeah, yeah. Well,
kept
number
from us?
one, it's not just him. It was known by many. I think a lot of times when people look at the history of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, because he was one of the primary ones who came in a what you call public platform to restore the knowledge to the people, so much emphasis is put on him. But you also have Drew Solly and many others who were actually working even with uh, Noble Ali establishing the old Canaanite temple for the restoration of the true history and the knowledge of the true estate of the Moors. But from a principle of international law, he, in the modern era, was the first to establish what would be called legitimately an honorable social, spiritual, and political platform for the restoration of the birthrights, history, and culture of the true heirs of the Americas, the true Aboriginal peoples of America, in a modern period or modern structure, and reestablishing Islam to be taught on the land which had been restricted since, like Philip and the rest of the popes of Rome, under the threats of death, which is why people, particularly the people of the land, had limited knowledge of Islam being actually in the West. They thought it was just on the eastern side of Africa, when it's actually ancient culture here. So Noble Drew Ali was, you can be considered in not the first, but the first in what you would call an open political, social political established platform by which the information in the history and the culture had been propagated actually on a solid and established platform in North America. That's where he is credited. But the knowledge was known by many.
So he was, but he's called prophets. I think
That's why he's referred to as the prophet.
And he said he came to us
Yes.
but he said he was universal.
He said, "Come, all ye Asiatics of North America, learn the truth about your nationality and your birthright. You're not Negro, black people, colored, or Ethiopians. Come and learn of your ancient mothers and fathers, ancient and divine creed. Come and link yourselves back with the families of nations, so you can see it is not only, your true religious heritage and a lot of your ancient culture. It is the political platform by which the reassociation with the nations of the earth were to be made. But you also notice that part of the activity has actually been condemned even by people who claim to be studiers of Noble Drew Ali. So you understand that the conflict, the sellouts, and what you'll see many who are in a divisive platform, where you see where that comes from. And he also reminded the Moors so that the Moors would not get caught into what you call this tunnel vision type mentality. He said, the half has not been told. If I told you everything, you would go back to sleep. That's so that the Moors would not get caught in these, tunnel vision pockets, thinking that they had it all. And he said, be careful, Moors. Some of your own people will be trying, with turbans and fezes, will be trying to put you back in slavery, which means, because he also knows the real history here, that many Moors were slaveholders. So a lot of descendants of Moors still have that tyrannical personality and spirit, because though the bodies are new, the spirits don't die. And so that's why you have a lot of people that come in that as soon as you start talking constitutional principles, you'll see them getting angry really quick. Because when people see, if people get the spirit of the Constitution principles in their thought processes, they already understand that what fake government is. They'll already have a comprehension when someone is using positions of authority to steal their birthrights, and then they would rebel. This is again why you see even a lot of Moors, as soon as you start saying Constitution, you'll see them get mad real quick. See, because
they'll say that it belongs to quote unquote white men.
the white man is you.
Well,
You got even that. The white man, black man paradigm. This is back to the whole point of people needing to know about the Whitmore Party, which why we have to keep bringing it up. It's sort of like this, Dr. J. You know how some things we have to repeat redundantly because you see that many of the people are still being deceived by their so-called black leaders, and you see them still using the nom-de guerre terms to their own detriment and not knowing that it's detrimental. And you'll see people knowing that it's false, but they'll continue to use it as if it has no injury, knowing that it makes the people not descendable. Where the people will in 1 minute tell the people that they're Moors, and they'll go right back to the black codes, and then to promote it, they really don't want that to die. See, it's sort of like they really don't want some of these problems fixed, because then they won't have what you would call their hands in the people's pockets. And many of them are angry at me because as you already know, you've been